Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For our first keynote for the NDTA fall meeting, I am honored to have the opportunity to introduce Chief Master Sergeant Brian B.K. Kruzelnick, the Command Senior Enlisted Leader for the United States Transportation Command.
Thank you for the introduction, Sergeant Private. Thank you so much. Look, if she didn't say that, you'd be wondering who the hell this guy is. So thank you. That was fantastic. Also, she was going to go on with my bio. I'm old enough to know no one cares. But hopefully you'll care about the next 30 minutes that we'll spend with each other. Also, I'm not going to do it from up here because this is just too much. I want to get down with my peeps down here. All right. Welcome to the fall meeting. Unlike last year's fall meeting, we have a lot of changes in TRANSCOM. One of them is welcoming the 15th Commander of United States Transportation Command, General Reed. And since the last meeting, we also have a new DCOM, Lieutenant General Hellswig. Let's give him a round of applause. And since we're in such a giving mood, let's continue that and give some thank yous. First of all, to NDTA, their leadership, Mr. Dietrich, there he is, thank you very much, sir. Vice Admiral Brown, and really the whole NDA team, well done. This is a co-hosted event, as that was mentioned, so I'd like to give a shout out to some of our leads, Mr. Savoda and Mr. Ringald, as well as all the volunteers you see around from Scott Air Force Base. Well done, teammates. And I'd also like to thank Union Station for this incredible venue. If you don't know, we generated World War II combat power at this very same room where your butt is sitting. That's pretty impressive. And really, why are we thanking all of them? We're thanking all of them for this. The greatest minds in logistics in one room, at one conference, so that we can share ideas, so we can come together and advance the joint deployment distribution enterprise. Because together we deliver. I remember reading that somewhere. I can't remember exactly. Oh, it's up here. This has been the motto of TRANSCOM for as long as I can remember. It started with General Frazier back in 2011, and it has gone through 5 commanders. It has staying power. At the end of every meeting, we say it. If you come into the lobby of TRANSCOM headquarters, it's in 2-foot letters on the wall. You don't put things in 2-foot letters on the wall unless it's important. But why? Why is that important? Let's break it down a little bit. Together, it means we're united. With unity is strength. I read that in an NDTA article in one of the journals, I'm telling you. It takes everybody. It's not done solo. We need our industry partners, our commercial partners, our fourth components. We need our allies and our partners. We need everybody that's tied to the national defense industry and everybody who's not tied. It's a whole-of-nation approach. Deliver. We need to be biased towards action. I went to public school in New Jersey, but I know that's a verb. Bias towards action. You went to New Jersey too? Okay. And then ... the ellipse. What's that about? What do we deliver? Traditionally, fuel, people, cargo, but this is 21st century warfare. We also deliver data and everything associated with it. Data analytics, AI, modeling. That's the way we're delivering. We deliver more than that. We deliver hope. We deliver strength. We deliver to our customers on their worst day. We also deliver to our adversaries. We deliver deterrence. And if deterrence fails, we will deliver a punch to the face that they will not wake up from. If deterrence fails, calm down. If deterrence fails. But look, there is no we and there's no together up there without the founding fathers. I'm from Jersey. The founding fathers. You got to kiss the ring. What an incredible foresight that these 7 gentlemen had to bring together like-minded people so that we can master the most crucial element of war winning, which is logistics. Now, in a different audience, I would draw that out strategically. I'd be, and then you'd say logistics. But this room knows it's logistics. 100% logistics. So we owe a thank you to these gentlemen. We have Poorman, we have Sullivan, we have Porter, we have Noakes, we have Council, we have Drake, and we have Skinno. Well done, gentlemen, well done. Back when they made this organization on 11 October 1944 as the Army Transportation Association, but then eventually in 1949 became NDTA that we have today, the world, our nation, was going through a change. We were a mid-level power in the world. When we came out of World War II, we were a superpower. You're not a superpower because you move something from one territory to another. You're a superpower because you can project and sustain combat operations wherever and whenever our nation chooses. And to have, I appreciate that, but to have choices, you need decision advantage. The theme of this year's conference. Now, oddly enough, it's not defined in any military doctrine. Not yet, anyway. But we had to define it. We put it as improving decision quality across the continuum from competition. We are not at peacetime. Don't get it twisted. We're competing right now to armed conflict to preserve time and options for our senior leaders so they can sense, make sense, decide, and act. I hope everybody in this room can see themselves somewhere in that spectrum. Maybe you're on the front side, improving decision quality. Maybe that's some data analytics. Maybe that's the ability to improve our cyber because logistics is noisy and it's in the open space. We have to make sure that we have trusted data. Maybe you're on the back side, on the sense and make sense. Maybe that's our ability to connect our air, land, and sea assets better. I don't care where you fall. I just ask we have a discussion. Let's have a discussion so we can advance that across the next 3 days. It is 3 days, right? 3 days? 4 days? Whatever it is, keep talking about it. But look, the first principle of TRANSCOM has never changed. Not till the first commander grabbed that first flag, General Cassidy, to where General Reed holds it today. That has not changed. The first principle of TRANSCOM is to deliver to the warfighter. But what has changed? Warfare has changed. It's evolved. It's evolved. So let's look at the way it's evolved. Let's look at that because that changes what we deliver and how we deliver. So let's look at the last 60 years of the 20th century, so think World War II, all the way to where we sit today, the first quarter century. Yes, we're in a quarter century of the 21st century right now as we face great power competition. So look, we're going on a field trip, grab each other's belt loop. I don't want anybody getting lost. We're going to start with World War II. The most devastating war we've ever faced. 94 million people perished in World War II. To give you a sense, that's more than a current population of Germany. We were in Europe. We were in the Pacific. We were at home mass producing. We had the greatest industrial base in the world. From 1940 to 1945, we produced over 317 planes. We produced 8,812 ships. We produced 89,000 tanks. Our merchant mariner fleet was 5,500 U.S. flagged. Give you a perspective. Today, currently, we have less than 100 merchant ships, U.S. flagged, that operate in international trade. For all those merchant ships, we needed merchant mariners. 243,000 merchant mariners. 4% of those lost their lives in World War II, more than any other service we had. Highest percentage of any service that we had lost. They delivered. They delivered 200,000 tons of cargo. They delivered 10,000 people. And we still have gone to the union halls today and we talked to them. We wanted to make sure that they still are able to stand in the gap for our nation. And they are just as patriotic today as they were in World War II. We can't do it without our merchant mariners. Also alliances. World War II is full of alliances, good and bad. We were on the good side. Our alliances helped us get ABO, access, basing, and overflight. Our alliances helped us have air and sea superiority. But look, we stretched the logistics system. Man, did we stretch. We didn't break it. We just stretched the hell out of it. As we did agile island hopping campaigns in the Pacific, as we just bulked up Europe. The problem is every service was moving all their stuff across all domains, uncoordinated. It was a waste of resources. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of manpower. We needed to evolve the transportation system. And then we walked into the Cold War. Two nuclear powers going head-to-head, really decided or really defined by high intelligence gathering and a lot of misinformation and disinformation. Does that sound a little familiar? We had won this by logistics. The first victory we had in the Cold War was logistics. The Berlin airlift, 1948. Soviet Union blocked off supply paths to Berlin. 2 million starving Germans. We have minimal amount of choices and high stakes. We could have went from World War II to World War III very easily. But we went over and not through. When I say over, I mean 189,000 missions over, landing almost every 45 seconds, moving 2.3 million tons across that 15 to 16-month period. We busted the blockade without shooting a shot. Logistics did that. But we still had to rethink the way that we had the transportation system. So we assigned transportation domains to services. Land to Army, that was highways, that was railways, that was ports. Maritime to Navy, and then air to Air Force in 1956. And eventually that evolved to the components that we have today as SDDC, as MSC, as AMC Blue, Air Mobility Command. But through massive exercises, we realized we still couldn't deliver on time without one single DoD transportation manager. So, the Goldwater-Nichols Act of 1986 that said you can create a command that does transportation, and guess what we called them? Transportation Command. Holy crap, that's perfect. Thank you. Very original, I know. Very original. The only problem when we were established on the 1st of October, 1987, is that we were only given the authorities and responsibilities at wartime. Peacetime still laid with the services. They still had a single transportation manager per service and the funding to do it. So we needed to evolve. And then we walked into the Gulf War, the first space war. We used GPS for everything. We used it for navigation, precision munitions. We used it for surveillance. We used it for INW. We were able to project whenever and wherever we wanted. We took on the 5th largest military in the world. And in a 30-day air campaign and a 100-hour ground campaign, we brought this war to an end. Amazing. Amazing. It was done by logistics. That was our first test, TRANSCOM's first test as a single transportation manager. And I think we did all right. I think we did all right. First time we activated craft for our craft partners out there. We did have some problems. We realized that our deployment readiness wasn't necessarily where it needed to be. We realized that our defense transportation systems needed some work. We realized that we had a hard transition from peacetime to wartime. So at the conclusion of this, our SecDef at the time decided that they're going to give us responsibility in peacetime and wartime. And today, that's where we drive the majority of our authorities from. We mastered conventional warfare. We mastered 20th century warfare that just happened to be high tempo, that happened to be the need for being agile, to be joint, to be connected. We had it all. And then the unthinkable happened. We got attacked on our home soil. And overnight, we immediately ran directly into 21st century warfare that was initially defined by cells, not this hierarchy. You kill one cell, 4 more pop up. It was asymmetrical warfare. Truly, truly required us to be joint, to gain that air superiority. This was a protracted war. Protracted wars speak to the will of the people. We need to remember that as we move forward as well. It forced services to rethink the way they were going to force present and force provide to combatant commands, similar to what they're going through right now. We also stretched the logistics system, and I think you all know that. It was a huge lift when we came in, it was a huge lift during, and it was a huge lift out that ended with the largest evacuation that we've done in U.S. history. 143,334 men, women, and children moved multiple times. We activated craft again. And by 2020, we got the responsibility for oversight over the entire JDDE. And now, what are we walking into? Great power competition. We're talking China, we're talking Russia, we're talking Iran, we're talking North Korea. They are cooperating with each other right now. Transactional, they're cooperating with each other right now. China and Russia are flying military missions together. They just recently did it in Alaska. China and Russia are going through the Red Sea unabated. Iran gives 85% of their oil to China at a 15% discount. China is our nation's pacing threat. But if I walk out in the streets of St. Louis right now and I say, what other nation is the biggest threat to our nation? Is anybody going to say China? I don't think so. And why aren't they? I don't think we put context to the words we use. So here today, let's add context to that. Let's add context to that. From 1999 to 2025, China has taken their military to PLA, and they've had 1,900 more advanced fighters. They have doubled their bomber fleet. They have more vessels in their Navy than any other nation in the world. 730 warships, 65 advanced submarines. 70% of their fleet was launched after 2010. They have 5,500 merchant ships. This is a communist country, which means that is dual use. They are the largest shipbuilders in the world. They have more ballistic missiles than anybody in the world. They have a robust space capability. They have global influence. They're already moving into the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. They are all over the continent of Africa. They are in the Arctic, calling themselves a near-Arctic state. Am I the only one shocked by that? A near-Arctic state. They are threatening international rule-based order. They are threatening a global, free, and open market. They have no respect for a transparent economy nor the sovereignty of other nations. But you know what the worst thing is? I can walk into anybody's house, and I can pick up a random item, and what will it say at the bottom? Help me out here, I'm on the clock. In English! They have normalized themselves to the world so they're not seen as a threat. But I'm here to tell you, since the Gulf War, they have remade their military to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to defeat America. Not just to defeat our government, not just to defeat our military, but to defeat our nation. That should bother more people than just me. This is a good time to pause, though. And let me tell you this. When you think of the greatest nation in the world, with the greatest allies in the world, with the greatest military in the world, you think of one nation, America. War is not inevitable, but we damn well better be ready. We have to be ready, we have to be capable, we have to have the capacity, and we have to have the intent, because that, my friends, is deterrence. We have to be ready for what 21st century warfare is going to look like. It's going to be defined by new technologies and new tactics. It's going to be spoofing and jamming. It's going to be direct energy weapons. It's going to be AI weapons, war bots. It's going to be drones, autonomous systems. It's going to weaponize cyber. It's going to weaponize space. And it has already weaponized information. It requires our Department of Defense to be more integrated than it ever has before, following something we call the joint warfighting concept. There is no sanctuaries anymore. There is no prolonged levels of air and sea superiority. Short windows, small windows, which means we are built now to deploy, to employ, to aggregate, to exploit those windows, to take out a target, disaggregate to survive, and re-aggregate when the next window opens up. That's the way the new fight looks. Well, if you were in Jersey with me, I'd say, what are you going to do about it? So what are we doing about it? Let me give you a day in the life of TRANSCOM. This is outside what we call presidential drawdown authority. This is the president's ability to go in stock into the Department of Defense and give assets to other countries in time of need, like we're doing with the Ukraine and Israel. This is outside of that, outside of any humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, outside of any real-world stuff. Just a random day in TRANSCOM with nothing else going on in the world at a random 15:36 in the afternoon on a Monday. This is what's happening. We're generating 47 air refueling missions, 455 airlift missions. We got 25 defense carriers moving secured and classified assets around the world. We got 14 patients being moved to higher level care. We got 20 ships underway. We got 230 rail cars moving. We got 1,500 freight shipments en route. We got 1,400 personal property, personal vehicle movements for our military members happening right now. And every 2.8 minutes, we are launching and recovering an aircraft somewhere in the world. You think that's a lot? Wait, there's more. Now add on our real-world mission sets that we're doing simultaneously. Let's see where we're at. We're in Haiti right now. What are we doing? We're trying to help their food insecurities, their gang violence, their coup. We have rolled 83 C-17s and 300 commercial flights to deliver military aid. I'll say it again, 300 commercial flights. Fourth component, together we deliver. We're in Ukraine. We're doing multimodal operations. We have 2,000 flights, 200 vessels. We got 140 trains, 12,000 vehicles moving military aid around. 90% of that lift, commercial partners. Together we deliver. We're also in Israel from their terrorist attack from Hamas. 7,000 flights, 160 tons of cargo of military aid that help them. And you can't talk about Israel without talking about Gaza. In Gaza, we had worked to get a JLOTS there, joint logistics over the shore, so that we can work with the World Food Bank, and we moved 9,700 tons of aid to them. We also airdropped 1,200 tons of aid. But wait, there's more. Red Sea. Highly contested environment right now. Stopping our shipping containers and a lot of our petroleum from going through there. Right now, we're trying to feed our Navy the munitions they need to defend the Red Sea. We're also doing bi-monthly sea lift working groups with our merchant ships to try to give the master of the ship the information they need to go through this area or go around this area, depending on what is safer. You think that's a lot? Aside from the Red Sea, this is uncontested. We have freedom to maneuver. That is not the next fight. The next fight's highly contested, disrupted, delayed, that we're going to have to work through. We're going to have to scale at speed. More so probably, well, about what we did at World War II, to be honest with you. Last time we exercised those muscles. So again, what are we doing about it? Well, we're trying to produce what we call credible capacity. That's the depth, that's the duration and volume of capacity needed to meet requirements. We're working off of a warfighting framework where we have global posture. This is the footprint, this is the forces, this is the agreements, ABO agreements that we have. We're having global capacity. This is the credible capacity, but also the fact that it's connected so it's survivable, that it's at sufficient levels. We're trying to command and control and integrate. We're trying to plan, we're trying to synchronize, and then we're trying to integrate into the winning joint scheme of maneuver. The joint winning scheme of maneuver. We're working with our industry partners because we need that volume of credible capacity. We're working with our allies and partners for that access, basing, and overflight, and working global integrated exercises so that we can get interoperability together. If I have to bucket the way forward and what we're doing in our initiatives, I would put it in land, air, sea, and cyber. Let's look at it. So land. You have to know that 90% of our warfighting materiel resides here in the U.S. 86% of our joint forces resides here in the U.S. This is a projection platform. We are working with the Department of Transportation to make sure the infrastructure matches that. Our highways, our railways, our ports. If we look at sea, we're working with our VISA and our VTA partners, make sure the agreements are there. We need capacity. 90% of that stuff's going to be moved by sea lift. Currently, today, we have 44 roll-on, roll-offs in our ready reserve fleet. And in the next 8 years, or 25 more are going to be lost to retirement. We need square footage. We're working with Myriad right now. They bought 5 used ships. They got 4 more in the hopper. But we're also working with the Navy to revitalize our maritime industry. We have to build sea lift in America. Merchant mariners, I talked about them earlier. We cannot do it without them. We're hurting on recruiting. So we're doing a lot of efforts with MARAD to improve our recruiting of merchant mariners. In air, we're working with our craft partners, make sure that the agreements are there, the capacity is there. We're trying to recapitalize and modernize. We're trying to see what's off the shelf that we can put onto our air assets to connect them. If they're connected, they're survivable. The next step up would give them decision advantage. We're trying to work that right now, but we're also trying to work with the Air Force to see what the next generation air refueler looks like. What's the next generation air lifter look like? This is all underpinned by cyber. Logistics is noisy. It's in the open space. We have about 285 defense transportation systems that mostly work unclassed. They don't exactly share, and they don't exactly connect. We got to improve it. We got to improve it. We have to work on the vulnerabilities that we have. If we have trusted data, we can gain decision advantage. If we don't, we're going to be in bad shape. And the last thing I would just throw out is global bulk fuel management. It's a responsibility that we gained in the NDTA 2022, and we've been working hard through it. We're working with DLA, Energy. We're working with VTA to see if we can understand the requirement, to make sure that we can command and control it, that we can store it, that we have force protection. We're also working with our allies and partners on the same thing to make sure it's positioned correctly. Now look, it's not a good speech unless you have a call to action. So guess what I got? Call to action. I got a few things. I'm needy. My wife tells me I'm needy. I'm needy. The first thing is, this is a whole of society approach, just like World War II. We need everybody in the arena getting dusty and getting dirty and failing fast so that we can come up with the good stuff that solves our problems. We need better access to parts. We need an industrial base that can produce the levels of munitions that we need and the assets that we need. We need decision advantage. We need cyber security. We need to secure the cyber domain. We talked about that already. We're very vulnerable in the logistics world. We need to look at recapitalization and modernization of sea lift, of air refueling. We need everybody in here to be a national recruiter for transportation. We need to build relationships with each other so we can trust each other, talk about the vulnerabilities, talk about ways we can advance. We're better together than we are in little silos of excellence. Talk to the people within the defense transportation industry. Talk to the people outside of the defense transportation industry because they have solutions too. I'm also going to ask you to talk to your neighbor, talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your mailman, and let them understand what the threat really is, because now you know. Let them understand the solution lies with all of us, because now you know. We are going to take the field with the people we currently have, with the stuff that we currently have. What are we going to do? Before warfare, you will have more time than money. In warfare, you have more money than time. I humbly ask, what are we doing with our time? And then I'm going to thank you for the journey that we just went on together. And I also want to remind you that we're united. United their strength. That this is a team effort. It takes everybody on the team. And that we have to have a bias towards action. Because only together do we deliver. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the fall meeting. I love you all, and I hope you're God blessed. I'm out.